Browns Steelers. Do you want to go first or do you want me to?
I'll go first because I promise I'll be quick.
Okay.
Okay. First things first. Deshaun Watson in that game was brutal, absolutely terrible. Single-handedly lost us the football game. You know, let's be honest about it. The difference in play calling from the pass perspective, between last game and this game was not a lot. It was just that Deshaun was holding onto the ball for too long. And Kenny Pickett was doing absolutely nothing. We were up in the game, and Deshaun Watson, so Jedrick Wills gets beat. Deshaun fumbles the ball. TJ Watt picks it up, goes for the score. That, for me, was the epitome of that game because Deshaun could have literally hurled it downfield, arm punt, interception, and we can still win that game. I think we probably still do. But we talked about this in the pregame. I talked about this in the pregame. You can't let their defense win the game. You can't. And what did we do? I think in that game, what was it? 4 turnovers? Like 4 turnovers in that football game. That was brutal. Abysmal. Terrible. Like, genuinely, like, the only way the Pittsburgh Steelers could have won that game was how they did.
Yep.
That was it. And they did it. And, you know, you and I, we were so confident going into that game. And I think even looking back on it, we had every right to be. like our defense in that game played lights out. Only one truly bad play, which was busted coverage to George Pickens. Listen, still new in the defense. For as good as they've been, to only have one busted coverage like that, that's terrific so far. It was just inopportune. That was against Pittsburgh. But, like, I mean, offensively, just abysmal. I mean, absolutely terrible. I hope we remember this game for a long time, and we remember it as the worst game Deshaun Watson ever played in a Browns uniform. And it was the turning point in his career as a Brown, which he could turn it into that based off of how he played today. So, you know, I was pissed at Kevin after that game, and I was thinking that if it didn't get turned around, Kevin's going to be fired. And I still think that, like, if we don't have a great year, Kevin's going to be gone, whether we like it or not. But that game, after I had a chance to settle down and actually, like, look at the tape, it was more on Deshaun. Guys were open. He was scared to throw it. He was questioning his reads. He wasn't trusting the offense, and he wasn't trusting his eyes. And you saw that in today's game against Tennessee. He was decisive with the football. As soon as he saw something, he threw it, and he didn't question it. And look what happened. Only six incompletions on the day. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. You know, highs and lows of the NFL. I talked about it. Defensively, we were all over the place. I thought we were great against Pittsburgh. You know, Grant Delpit, again, big interception, got us into the red zone. We didn't execute. We didn't get any points off of that. And the other thing I want to mention, too, about how good this defense has been, you know, we talked about how we've only given up on, like, defense themselves has only given up 18 points. How many of those points came off of turnovers? like if we just say this X team got down the field and got points without turnovers being involved, genuinely that number probably maybe is less than 10. Oh geez, Jimmy G, my God,
Jimmy G,
he got folded. Murdered. Oh my God, yo, is he good? That looked bad. Nope. Oh no, he's down. That looked like a knee for me.
I didn't really get to see it.
He got like
I mean, I saw him get folded. I didn't get to see like how he landed, but
Jesus Christ. And speaking of injuries, we'll get into Nick Chubb as well. But
Oh, look at that. TJ Watt is lined up over the line of scrimmage.
Jesus, did you see that? Oh my god, look at
I
his
did
ankle.
not.
Look at his. Oh, Watt's like fully on it. Oh my god. I'm shocked it didn't snap.
Ooh,
I'm shocked his ankle did not snap. Oh my
it
god.
might have fractured
Oh my god.
at the very least.
Yeah, because Watt was like fully on him there. Jesus Christ. My God.
Oh,
But that's really all I have to say for Cleveland Pittsburgh. I promised I would keep it short,
okay.
and
Yeah.
that's that. So Derek, what did you
Okay.
think about Cleveland Pittsburgh?
Um. Yeah, I'm gonna go on a little bit of a rant
Yeah,
here,
go
just to
for it.
let you
Go
know.
for it, man.
Okay. So Steelers beat the Browns 26-22. This game was horseshit. The Browns absolutely should have won this football game. And the stats, and I really hate it because I'm not a stats guy. I'm not a numbers guy when it comes to football. You can just tell. You can just tell. So my eyes told me that the Pittsburgh Steelers were the more physical and the more dominant team, right? As far as who wanted it more, who was more aggressive, that was Pittsburgh Steelers. Stats and everything like that tells you the Browns should have won this game, other than one stat line. The Cleveland Browns had 4 turnovers, the Pittsburgh Steelers had 2. That's a huge, huge deal. Now, just looking at the numbers here, the Browns had 408 total yards. The Pittsburgh Steelers only had 255. Browns had 20 first down. The Steelers had 9 first downs. Third down efficiency, the Cleveland Browns were 5 of 16. The Steelers were 4 of 14. Now, this is kind of where things get a little bit interesting for me. And we know how these games always go with the Steelers. Tristan, we know this. The Browns had 8 penalties for 81 yards. The Pittsburgh Steelers, 5 penalties for 31 yards. And in my opinion, I think on both sides, and I'm not just saying it was just a Steelers thing, I think on both sides, the officiating was absolute horseshit in that game. It was horrendous. Um, we could talk about it. The last play where Donovan Peoples-Jones clearly was held and it was not called. I think the Browns were driving down and who knows what would have happened, but we'll never know. The Browns could have driven down and won that game. Go
Sorry,
ahead.
this is the only time I'll interrupt you through this whole thing, because I
No,
know
you're
you
good.
got a lot to say, and well said stuff too. In spaces after that game, I remember I got into a little bit of like a heated disagreement, shall we say, with I think it was Tori. I can't remember,
Maybe.
but um,
I wasn't there. I don't
yeah,
know.
there was a lot of stuff that was said. I mean, obviously nothing like brutal, like nobody was insulting each other, but just disagreements on like
Wouldn't
stuff.
surprise me.
Just
Love you, Tori,
yeah,
but that wouldn't
yeah.
surprise
It
me.
was just like we were upset, right? And
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know there were a lot of people that were upset and complaining about the officiating, and rightfully so because we got screwed that last play of the game. Um, However, my point in that game was we were so bad that officiating didn't lose us the game. Like, yeah, they played a big
No, no, no,
part, but officiating didn't lose us the game. And we saw it today. Amari Cooper got screwed out of 6 points on the board. We got
no.
screwed out of 6 points on the board. And yet, because our quarterback was as good as he was today, it didn't matter.
Yep.
It did not matter in the slightest. So that's what the
Yeah.
point was for me of that game was like we were so bad, we let the refs decide the game. We let the refs have an
Yep.
influence. So, yeah, I'll let you go from here.
No, you're right. I mean, I think officiating for me, I don't want that to be taken as that was the cause of us losing because it definitely wasn't. Um However, I do think for both fan bases should have been pissed with the officiating. Now, it just so happened that it came to bite the Browns at the end of the game, and it is what it is. It's in the past. We can't do anything about it now. But I just wanted to point that out. So 8 penalties for 81 yards for the Browns. Steelers 5 penalties, 31 yards. Um Time of possession is something for me, Tristan, that was very very interesting because the Browns time of possession was 35 minutes, 35.28 minutes. Steelers 24.32. So 10 plus minutes the Browns had the ball more than the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, my problem and why I find that so interesting is for me in that game, especially early on, the Cleveland Browns defense, as dominant as we were gassed because the offense could not get a single possession or a single drive early in that football game. And the first quarter was a damn near whole game. So, you can talk about that as a whole separate topic, but um I thought it was very interesting. I was not expecting the time of possession to be as drastically different as it was. So the Browns having the ball more than the Steelers did surprise me. What that tells me is the Browns defense was just fantastic and the Browns offense was just stagnant. That's what that tells me. The defense or the offense for the Browns was just stagnant in that game. And when you look at it, Najee Harris 10 carries for 43 yards. That's it. George Pickens had one of the best games of his career, 4 receptions, 127 yards, and a touchdown. Um, and then on the flip side, Amari Cooper, I tweeted this out. Amari Cooper had a hell of a game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Nobody will talk about it. Nobody will bring it up. He had a great game. 7 receptions, 90 yards, was played out of this world, I thought. And the big thing for me, because there's a lot of stat guys, right? There's a lot of guys that put up big stats. Amari Cooper earned every single one of those catches that he had. Every single one of them was contested coverage. Every single one of them was big moments.
Last thing I'll say, and he was doubtful to even
Go
play
ahead.
in the game. Like, it was unlikely he was
Yes.
even going to play. He suited up and he performed.
Yeah. Yeah. So not only did he play, but he played. He was a difference maker in that game. Um, so yeah, Amari Cooper, 7 receptions, 90 yards. Running the ball, Jerome Ford, 16 carries, 106 yards. Now, Jerome Ford, I could really get into a long discussion about this. His vision is so bad. It's just so bad. And he had the one play where he broke it for 69 yards. It, could have been a touchdown, but it was not. Still a great run. Um, and I believe this was my favorite moment from that game. Deshaun Watson running up the field put his chest through the soul of Minka Fitzpatrick. And we'll get into it. And as pissed off as I was about Deshaun, that was my number one takeaway was he got that hit on Minka for a reason. And I was very happy he did. Um, let's look at this now. So okay, actually, before we get into the quarterbacks, Grant Delpit had a fantastic game, like you mentioned. He had a 92.2 PFF grade, played out of his mind, got the interception, like you said. And that was a moment where after the first play of that game, Deshaun Watson, okay. A lot of people are blaming Deshaun. Some people are blaming Harrison Bryant. I think it's a mix of both personally. I think Harrison Bryant stopped running because he was expecting he was expecting to sit and have the ball out before he even sat, before he got out of his break. Deshaun, I think, was expecting Harrison Bryant to continue his route. So whether if you call that a miscommunication, whether if you call that a bad throw, bad route, whatever, at the end of the day, here's the biggest thing for me. Neither one of those guys is to blame for that start to the game. Who's to blame is Kevin Stefanski. Why the hell in the first was that the first play of the game? Second play of the
First play
game?
of the game.
First play of the game, you come out 5 wide and you throw a tight end dump off pass
Here's what I'll say:
to your third
the
string guy.
the the only thing I'll say in defense of Stefanski, I actually liked the setup of the play, and the reason why is because we had it was a 3 tight end set, and when they're in the huddle, Pittsburgh's got a plan for a 3 tight end set. They put extra guys on the line, which means you have mismatches out wide. So I kind of like that as a concept. If it was thrown to Jordan Akins or David Njoku, I would have left it. But the ball was thrown to Harrison Bryant. That was my issue, and I'm sorry for interrupting. Go ahead.
No, 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 no. No, you're good. You're perfectly fine. Um, I just personally for me, it pissed me off. Unbelievable. Okay, let me paint the picture for you. I got home. I worked till 8 o'clock that night, Monday night. I got home or I got off work and I was watching the game on my phone on my way home. whatever. Or no, I'm sorry. The game hadn't started yet. My mom had her car in the shop, so we had to go pick up her car. Right before I went to pick her up to go get her car, I'm watching my phone and I'm looking and I'm like, man, to start off with no Cam Hayward, 5 wide, when the number one concern was Alex Highsmith and TJ Watt. For me, I just did not understand it. Tristan, I came on here in the preview, and by the way, we got grilled for that preview. Boy, oh boy. But I came on here and I said, run the damn ball. Start off, because the Steelers always start off fast. They always start off aggressively. Just run the ball up the middle. Give it to Nick Chubb. Let him get some yards. Get the offense in some sort of flow. Run it up the middle. What did we do? You come out 5 wide. Miscommunication, whatever. And you go for what should have been a safe throw, and it's a pick six the other way. The worst possible way to start that game off. And then guess what? You answer with a clutch interception from Grant Delpit, and you do nothing. You do absolutely nothing with it. You put up 3, which in hindsight, it's not the end of the world. But just for me, I think there were so many things in that game, and you mentioned it in the preview. The shades of the past of the Pittsburgh Steelers Cleveland Browns really came out in that game. And it really pains me to say it. And I think, I'll say it right now. I don't want to stay on this for too long because we got a lot to talk about. But I do think the Browns will beat the Steelers in not First Energy
Cleveland
Stadium,
Browns
Cleveland Browns
Stadium.
Stadium,
Yep.
Cleveland Browns Stadium when they play here. I do feel like we're going to get a different team. We're going to get a much different game. But in that game, it felt like everything that we've seen from the past. It felt like big brother, little brother, aggressiveness, and just overpowering. And unfortunately, when Nick Chubb exited that game, and that's going to be our next topic, so get ready for that. All life was drained from that offense, and understandably so. I mean, I get it. As a player, you lose a teammate like that, you're gonna be drained. But in moments like that, that's where you needed Deshaun Watson. That's where you needed him to step up and just make a play. Just make a play and get some energy back into this offense. And it felt like that took forever to happen. And for me, that is kind of the reason why the Browns lost this game. Because when you look at it, both offenses were terrible. Both offenses were atrocious. The difference is the Browns gave the Pittsburgh Steelers the ball 2 more times than they gave us the ball. And at the end of the day, when you look at why the Cleveland Browns lost this game, it is because of that. The final score was 26-22. So what that tells me is on one of those turnovers, the Steelers got points up on the board that you didn't. I mean, it's that simple. And you can start off with the beginning of that game. And that's what's so frustrating to me because when you look at it, Kenny Pickett sucked. He was 15 of 20, which is fine. 222 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Deshaun Watson, 22 of 40, 235 yards, touchdown, and a pick. For me, watching that game, it was the first time that I kind of was like, okay, we need to have a discussion about Deshaun Watson, and we need to start holding him accountable because that game was just flat out unacceptable. That game was horrendous decision making, horrendous play calling, and horrendous execution. And Jedrick Wills sucks. I mean, we've said it a billion times now, but Alex Highsmith just absolutely pushed him around and bullied him to no end. And DeJuan Jones, you brought it up. DeJuan Jones, excuse me, DeJuan Jones was really, really good in that game. TJ Watt, he had his moments for sure, but the way that DeJuan Jones was able to just not let him impact every single play, pretty much. I thought he did a very good job. I thought he did a very good job. The play that, he had the penalty, so be it, whatever. The sack that happened, DeWand, I thought, gave Deshaun Watson enough time. I think the problem on that play was Deshaun just held on to the ball. And instead of taking off, he just held on to the ball and kind of stepped up into it. I'm not going to blame DeJuan Jones for that. I think DeJuan Jones did a fantastic job. So wrapping up on the Steelers game, I don't want to stay on it too long because obviously we're happy. The Browns just destroyed the Titans. But for me, looking at that game, it was just a failure coaching. It was a failure of the quarterback. And it sucks because the defense got the job done. You can't hold an offense to only 12 points and lose a football game. You just can't. You just can't. And I think from the very first play, all momentum was on the Steelers' side, and it was kind of over from there, unfortunately. So that's kind of my that's my rant, if you will, on why the Browns lost this game. So we're going to talk about this Chubb injury, but before we do that, Tristan, do you have anything you want to comment on anything I just said there?
Just that this team should absolutely curb stomp Pittsburgh when they come to Cleveland. Like, that's the only way you get right. Only way. So,
Yeah. Keep talking. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
I need to grab something. Two seconds.
Yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine. Like, it's just sad. It's sad the way that game played out. It's funny because, like, if you would have gotten Deshaun Watson, like the Deshaun Watson that you had gotten today, it's not even a question. It's not even a doubt. Like, you're getting the win in that game. But like I said in the preview, we always play down to Pittsburgh's level. We always we play down to their level, and we let them impact the game. And before the game, I said, actually, we just saw Highsmith just nail Garoppolo. Jesus. But we like I said before the game, the only way that they can really kill us was with the edges, and they did just that. We let them do it.
Yep.
We let them do it, and it's a damn shame. But we better be ready. We better be ready in Cleveland, because if this happens in Cleveland again, holy crap! Oh my god! Oh, jeez, not
Is that targeting?
It might be. Jesus, Devontae, my god, he got his head taken
Just
off.
got smacked.
My goodness.
Which, by the way, Devontae Adams, 97 receiving yards in the first half.
He's been
That's crazy.
He's been good. He's been like their only offense. But
Jacoby Myers is at 39. I need him to get one more.
No, that's just a clean hit. Wow.